In today's lecture, we are going to talk about the preliminary method of treatment of industrial wastewater. The preliminary treatment unit, it is mainly focusing on the removal of visible impurities from the wastewater. Say for example, suppose if the wastewater is having rags or board or grit and any visible the leaves and the tree trunk, so those things are there. So those things can be removed with the help of the preliminary treatment method. So we use some sort of screen or the bars. So those type of equipments may be used to remove those the visible impurities from the wastewater. That is the first primary. Preliminary is the first step for taking the wastewater to the subsequent stages of operation. Now, see the unit operations that are mostly commonly used in the treatment of wastewater include screening and then size reduction, like by using the combination, maceration, screening, grinding, then flow equalization, mixing, flocculation. All these things are the commonly used unit operations in a wastewater treatment plant. So the explanations are given here. Say for example, the screening or the size reduction, we know what is the purpose of the screening and all. The purpose of screening is to separate the particles based on the size. By using some the screening apparatus, we can separate the particles. So it is mainly used for removal of coarse solid, like a stick or rag and other debris in untreated wastewater by interception, surface straining. By means of the bar or by means of screen, we can separate all these the larger sizes particle from the wastewater. Then screening fine we have, depending on the size this categorization is given, coarse, then fine, then micro. So this is used for removal of a small particle. The screening apparatus we have to use for that. Then this is used for the removal of the micro size particle. Then the combination is nothing but it is a type of the size reduction equipment, as well as the grinding and the maceration. It is also used for the size reduction operation. Suppose if the wastewater is having some sort of larger coarse solid, means then it can be crushed or it can be grinded by using these devices. Then we have one more thing called as flow equalization. The name itself indicates that the flow equalization is nothing but we try to realize the flow of the wastewater, because from the company from the industry, the wastewater will not be coming at the same volumetric flow rate on day-to-day basis. For example, today the company may send a small amount of wastewater, so tomorrow they may send a large amount of wastewater, but our treatment plant it cannot able to handle this sort of fluctuation. Today suppose if they are sending 2 liter, tomorrow if they send 20 liter, means our company cannot able to handle this sort of fluctuation. So for that, the company what they do is that they have one small water pond, they collect all the waste coming from the industry. So all the wastewater will be stored in the water pond. That water pond only we call as a flow equalization tank. So it is like a buffer tank. So it will just adjust the difference in concentration or difference in the volumetric flow rate of the wastewater. See now, once if the wastewater enters into the flow equalization tank, so it will be settled down for 1 day or 2 days. Then from the flow equalization tank only, the wastewater will be taken to the actual treatment plant. So it is like a buffer zone, like it will minimize the effect of the volumetric flow rate difference as well as the concentration difference. Then apart from that, we have mixing operation. Then flocculation. The flocculation is also the other unit operation where we add the alum flocks to settle the particles. Then sedimentation, flotation. So flotation is also another method where we use some frothing agent, so which produces like a froth-like material. So it also removes the impurities from the wastewater, like suspended particles or finely divided particles can be removed by means of the flotation. Then aeration, then volatile organic compound control, this also can be used. Then apart from that, we have something called depth filtration. These are the advanced treatment technique: depth filtration, membrane filtration, then air stripping. So all these things are this. Air stripping is used to remove the dissolved gases mainly, like removal of ammonia, hydrogen sulfide. All these gaseous constituents are there that can be removed by means of the air stripping operation. Now, so we have a separate flow sheet here that explains what are the major unit operations as well as the processes involved in the treatment of wastewater. As you can see that the wastewater is entering from this side, influent. Then the first stage is screens and combination. As I mentioned, screens are used to remove the visible impurities, like the tree leaves the trunk, then the racks, all those things can be removed. Comminution is used to like grind the contaminant present in the wastewater. The next is grit removal. It is also like the screening apparatus where the grits will be removed. Then it is taken to the primary circulating tank. Then it is taken to the biological processes. So biological processes is an secondary treatment of like a secondary treatment method of for wastewater. So where microbes are being used to digest the dissolved compounds or any organic contents present in the wastewater. Then it is then the wastewater is taken to the secondary settling tank. So whatever the treated water comes from the biological process, it will be settled here. Then the clarified liquid is taken to the effluent filtration. Then it is taken to the chlorine mixing. The purpose of chlorine mixing is for disinfection purpose. That will kill the microbes. Then the next it is taken to the chlorine contact basin where the chlorine dissolved chlorine will be removed. Then the treated effluent is taken from the other side of the plant. So as you can see that the legend, whatever that is given here, you can see that circle represent the unit operations. That rectangle represent with stripe inside the rectangle contains, it is nothing but unit processes where the chemical reaction will take place. It may be a chemical reaction or biological reaction, whatever it is, it will be taking place. Then the effluent, whatever comes from this plant, it cannot be used for drinking purpose because it has to like go through the other level of treatment also, like tertiary treatment. Actually, we have to use the membrane also. Otherwise, the effluent can be used for some small usages. Say, for example, for gardening purpose or for reuse water for the bathroom purposes. For that, we can use it, not for drinking purpose. So, if we want to get like a drinking purpose water means, then the effluent has to be taken to the other membrane operations like ultrafiltration, reverse osmosis, nanofiltration, that has to be used. So, this is the overall view about the treatment plant. So, thanks for listening.